Thank you, Lord, for a beautiful day. Thank you, Lord, for a beautiful day. Well, good morning. It's good to be back with you here on, yes, another beautiful morning, at least here in the tri-state area on the East Coast. We, I don't know, we must have done something right to have this stretch of really nice looking days over the past few. So I'm thankful for that. Still a little too chilly for me. I don't know. It seems like this summer is taking its sweet old time. I know it's not really officially summer yet. We still have actually another couple of months almost, but something about, you get into April and get toward May and just you want everything to just flip quick. So we'll just have to wait and see what it brings as we move forward. But it's good to be with you. Good to see all of you jumping in this morning. Good morning to Marie and Jason and Donna, Jackie. How are you? There's Jack, Effin, and let's see, Jenny. How you doing? Good to see you guys. Thank you again. Appreciate so much you taking some time to hang out for a bit. So we're moving on to chapter 11 of Mark, of the Gospel of Mark, and it's really pretty powerful incident that occurs here in the life of Jesus. And so let me just jump in. We're going to read the first 10 verses. It says, as they approached Jerusalem at Bethphage and Bethany near the Mount of Olives, he sent 2 of his disciples and said to them, go into the village opposite you, and immediately as you enter it, you will find a colt tied there on which no one has yet ever sat. Untie it and bring it here. And if anyone says to you, why are you doing this? You say, the Lord has need of it, and immediately he will send it back here. And they went away and found a colt tied at the door outside in the street, and they untied it. And some of the bystanders were saying to them, what are you doing untying the colt? And they spoke to them just as Jesus had told them, and they gave them permission. And so they brought the colt to Jesus and put their garments on it, and he sat upon it. And many spread their garments on the road, and others spread leafy branches which they had cut from the fields. And those went out before, and those who followed after were crying out, Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed is the coming kingdom of our father David. Hosanna in the highest. Wow. Palm Sunday, right? I mean, how many of you grew up in that tradition, right? Of going to church and getting your little palm. Sometimes they were already tied into the shape of a cross, and other places you'd actually wave them at some point during the service. So we're all familiar with this story, right? It's a very familiar one. So, but as I was thinking about all of this and saying, well, so Lord, this was obviously, a powerful statement that was made concerning your true identity as the King of Kings, even though you were on your way into Jerusalem to be crucified. This was a glimpse into the future when every knee would bow, every tongue confess, and, Jesus would be coming to really be seen as the king. And so just a powerful thing, right? And I'm like, okay, so how do we relate to this? What's the message that you have for us in this story? And immediately I was drawn to the way it got set up. Jesus telling 2 of his disciples to go into the city and to grab a colt, this young donkey. I guess the other gospels call it a donkey, but to go and get this thing so that he could do what we just read, so that he could ride in triumphantly into the city of Jerusalem. And I realized that this incident wasn't simply Jesus having a good idea, because it was actually prophesied of him. And if you go back to Matthew, in Matthew's account of this story, he records this in chapter 21. And so in verse 4, it says, "Now this took place, that what was spoken through the prophet might be fulfilled, saying, Say to your daughter Zion, Behold, your king is coming to you, gentle and mounted on a donkey, even upon a colt, the foal of a beast of burden." And so this comes from Isaiah 62. And so this was a prophecy. This was a word of the Lord that was delivered to the nation of Israel, and really to Jesus himself, that he was going to ride into Jerusalem on the colt of a donkey. And so immediately I understood that this is an encouragement to us concerning whatever God has spoken to us, whatever the prophetic words that you and I have received, whatever the vision that maybe we have gotten concerning our lives, that the Lord is wanting us to know that just as he was so specific and detailed in his declaration of a provision here, because remember now, what Isaiah prophesied, that was spoken over 600 years before Jesus was born. That God spoke to Isaiah, God gave Isaiah this picture of the king riding into Jerusalem on a donkey, on the colt of a donkey. And so in the vision of what God had for Jesus was this little detail about how it was going to be done. And so immediately I realized that the Lord was wanting to encourage us that wherever there is a vision, there will always be provision, right? There's always going to be provision for your vision, no matter what it looks like, no matter what, God is saying, what he's showing to us about his future, his desires, his, plan, the dream that he had of us. I talk about this a lot, that he had a dream and he wrapped your body around it, but whatever that looks like, whatever you're called to, you can be assured that there's going to be a provision in order for that to come to pass. And in this case, it was so detailed that when Jesus spoke to the disciples and said, "Go, there's going to be a colt, you're going to untie this colt, and if anybody objects, you're just simply going to say the Lord has need of it." Now think about that. In order for all of that to happen, the Lord would have had to speak to, in this case, the bystanders. The other gospels actually identify it as the owner of this colt. God would have had to speak to this person somehow, some way, maybe through a dream, showing them, there's going to be a couple of guys that are going to come your way and they're going to take your colt because I have need of it. Right? So that when that actually happened, they would go, oh, here's these two guys that I saw in my dream or that God spoke to me about. So yes, I'm going to let them take my colt. Right? I mean, you think about how God has to weave so many things together so that the vision that he's given us, the thing that he wants us to accomplish, can actually come to pass. And, we're just trying to be obedient. We're just trying to do our part to follow his direction. But in the meantime, he's done all this stuff in the background that we never see, never know about. But it's very real and it happens. And we see that so beautifully illustrated for us here in this story of Jesus coming into Jerusalem riding on the colt that was provided for 600 years before, where God said, this is what's gonna look like. And so Jesus knew that. And Jesus, I'm sure, asked the Father at that point, so how exactly is this going to work? Where do I get the colt? Right? And so in your vision, in the things that God shows you, you can ask him questions like that, right? I've got a vision that's going to take millions of dollars to fulfill. So my question to him on various occasions is, so where am I going to get that money? How am I going to acquire the resources that you have clearly already marked out and put in store, because you wouldn't have shown me all this crazy stuff that you want me to do that's going to require millions of dollars to accomplish. You wouldn't have shown me that if you hadn't already put the resources in place for that to come to pass. And that's exactly how it works for him. And for us, really, with him. And so what does it mean? It means that we move forward with what we know, with what we see. We be obedient to the things that he reveals to us, even if we don't understand them, even if it doesn't seem like it's going to work out. You know, I mean, I've heard too many testimonies of people, God telling people, you know, I want you to go to some country. Well, Lord, I don't have any money. I understand that. I want you to go to the airport. And so people go to the airport and, okay, Lord, I still don't have any money. What would you like me to do? Go over to this airline, walk up to the ticket counter. Okay. All right. Well, Lord, here I am. I'm at the ticket counter. What next? I still don't have any money. And usually within the next few minutes, somebody walks up to them and says, hey, you know what? The Lord just told me that you need to get to X, Y, and Z, and that you need the money for it. Well, here you go. I mean, this is just how he loves to play with us like that, right? To take us on these adventures where he shows us something and basically wants us to move toward it, even if we don't think we've got what's necessary, what it's going to take to actually accomplish that. We can take a walk with him. We can go on a journey and watch his provision begin to unfold. And so I just love that. It's just so fun. It's so exciting. And, you know, Jesus, that was his, where he was. I'm not going to even call it a dilemma. It was just, that was the situation. He knew that Isaiah had prophesied that he was going to ride into Jerusalem on the colt of a donkey. He didn't have one. There wasn't one around. So his next question to the Father was, where is this colt? Right? And the Father gave him a vision, gave him some instruction prophetically that it was going to be in the city, and he could send two of his guys and exactly what to say, and bam, there it was. That prophecy got fulfilled. That vision got fulfilled. So, you know, be encouraged that anything that the Lord shows you, anything that he speaks to your heart concerning what he wants for your life, he's already made provision for it. And we've got to believe that, right? We've got to come into agreement with that, especially, and it's usually that we don't have it already. We don't have the provision. We don't know how we're going to carry that out. We don't know how that's going to come to pass. But that's not the issue. The issue is, can we agree, and can we begin to move forward in whatever way is possible? See, the Lord never leaves us without options. There will always be an option when it comes to fulfilling his plan for your life, right? It would be horrible if he showed you and I something and then just said, well, you know, it's there, but, you know, there's nothing you can do about it right now. What? No. The very least, we can spend time praying and agreeing with him and making declarations, you know, and aligning our hearts and minds with the reality of what he's showing us. I mean, at the very least, we've got that option. But there also usually is some other practical step that we can at least start with, right? What's the old saying? A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, and that's the way the Lord operates. Father, show me my next step. What is the first step that I should take in order to begin moving toward what you're showing me? And he will absolutely reveal that to you, because he wants to go on that journey with you. He wants the adventure with us. He loves the journey more than the destination. I'm convinced of that. So, so I hope you found, that this is encouraging to you. I know it is for me, because again, the bigger your vision, the more you realize that, man, Lord, this is going to be interesting to see how all this comes to pass. I know it will, because you don't lie, but just the journey, the weaving in and out of getting from point A to point B in all of that, that's where the fun should be. I know it doesn't always seem like it, but that's where the fun should be. So good stuff. Thank you all for coming in, and let's see who else we have on the call. Wow, my dear wife is watching at work. Whew. That's an amazing thing. I know how rough that can be. Whoa, German, how are you, buddy? It's good to see you. Lorraine, Lisa, Denise, Karen, good to see you as well. My gosh, Ralph and Rosa and Henry, thank you all. I appreciate so much that you take a few minutes to hang out. I know we're all busy. We all have a lot of stuff going on, and it's really an honor to be able to share my heart and the things that the Lord shows me with you. Each weekday morning, I try to do this, 8:30 Eastern. So if you're around, feel free to jump in. If not, these are recorded. You can watch the video if you're really bored. Nothing better to do. Hey, be my share bear, buddy, please, and share the video on your timeline. Hopefully others will see it and want to jump in as well. You can reach out by email or Facebook private message if you'd like to chat about anything. Love to hear what you're receiving from the Lord, or any questions that you might have. And as always, these are all over on the Breakfast with Jesus 247 page on Facebook. So if you'd like to catch up, you can do that. Hey, I hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to being back with you again tomorrow at the same time. Until then, you be blessed.